Wasabi guys, welcome back to another Commander deck tech video. This time we're using one of the new Commander options from Commander 2020. Don't remember which deck this one comes in, I think it might be the blue-green one. But we have Ruxa Patient Professor 4 mana, 4/4 Legendary Bear Druid. Whenever Ruxa Patient Professor enters the battlefield or attacks, return target creature card with no abilities from your graveyard to your hand. Creatures you control with no abilities get +1/+1. And you may have creatures you control with no abilities assign their combat damage as though they weren't blocked. So this is easily one of the more unique commander options we've had in a while. Because while we've had Bear Tribal, we've had Gork Claw, if you're looking for fun, mono green, stompy commander options, we've had those, but we haven't really had a theme behind it other than just good stuff green. With Ruxa, you get no abilities. It's pretty much zero ability tribal, but you do get a benefit here with your commander for playing no ability creatures, and Ruxa is ridiculously powerful. Everything here is just, it's a lot for 4 mana. Whenever Ruxa enters or attacks, you get a creature card back from your graveyard to your hand. Not quite a Sun Titan, but for a 4 mana commander in green, that's great value. Green has some ways of getting creatures back from the graveyard to your hand, but a lot of that's pretty expensive, which is why I have a pretty cheap, affordable budget commander deck, so about $35. Super budget, which is to be expected. There are going to be a lot of vanilla creatures in here, but this is green vanilla budget. All of these abilities here are great for vanilla creatures, so to start off the deck tech, we have some draw cards in here, cards that are going to help us get our card draw. We have Colossal Majesty, 3 mana enchantment at the beginning of our upkeep. If we control a creature with power 4 or greater, we draw a card. That's a lot of creatures in here, shouldn't have any problem triggering that. We have Elemental Bond, even better. Whenever a creature with power 3 or greater enters the battlefield under our control, we draw a card. Lifecrafter's Bestiary. We scry 1 at the beginning of our upkeep, and whenever we cast a creature spell, we may pay 1 green mana. If we do, we draw a card. Beast Whisperer, whenever we cast a creature, we draw a card. One of the more expensive cards in the whole deck, but it is probably one of the best sources of card draw. We have Harmonize, 4 mana for 3 cards as a sorcery. We have Garruk, Primal Hunter. Multi-purposed, of course, another rather expensive card compared to the rest of the cards in here, only $2. +1 gives us a 3/3 green beast creature token, which tokens are awesome with this commander because they're also vanilla, they don't have any abilities. And his minus is great card draw. We draw cards equal to the greatest power among creatures we control. And the alt gives us 6/6 green worm creature tokens for each land we control. And then we have Primordial Sage. Whenever we cast a creature spell, we may draw a card, so basically another Beast Whisperer. We have some equipment in here, but not equipments that will give our creatures abilities, because if they have abilities, then they won't be able to attack and assign combat damage as though they were not blocked. So Blackblade, Reforged, we can equip it to our commander, which is fine, but it is worth it sometimes to pay 7 and equip it to a creature, make it massive, and then it swings in, it deals a ton of damage. We have Fractal Harness. This is a new card from Commander 2021. When Fractal Harness enters the battlefield, create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it and attach Fractal Harness to it. Whenever the equipped creature attacks, double the number of +1/+1 counters on it. So it can just be a massive creature that when we keep attacking with it, it gets even bigger. And our commander's going to synergize with it pretty well. We have Ronin War Club, really good equipment for this kind of deck. +2/+1, whenever a creature comes into play under our control, we attach it to that creature. It is mandatory, so you have to be aware of how you're playing your creatures, but that's still a good power toughness boost for the deck. We have Scythe Claw. This is big time synergy with our commander option. Probably one of the more notable cards in the deck, I would say. Living Weapons, so you create a 0/0 black germ creature token, and then you attach the equipment to it. The germ gets +1/+1, and whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life rounded up. It's not giving it any abilities because the ability is on the actual equipment here. So that 0/0 black germ creature token, with our commander, you're going to be able to deal combat damage, and then they're going to lose half their life rounded up. So really cool card. We have some graveyard cards in here. We have Regrowth, just to get a card back from our graveyard to our hand, and then we have Death's Presence. Whenever a creature we control dies, we put X +1/+1 counters on target creature we control, where X is the power of the creature that died. This card is really good in this deck because +1/+1 counters don't add abilities, it just adds power and toughness. So whenever you have a creature die, which is going to probably be a lot, we'll be able to then place +1/+1 counters on other creatures, making them even bigger. So it's not like we're just having a ton of our creatures die and we're getting no value for it. Death's Presence is fantastic for this kind of commander. And we have lands. The best that we can really do here on a budget is Mosswort Bridge, Hideaway Land. We may play the exiled card without paying its mana cost if creatures we control have total power 10 or greater. We have Rogue's Passage, target creature can't be blocked this turn. We have Temple of the False God, and we have Tranquil Thicket to just draw a card there. And we have 31 forests. We have some mana producers in here. We have Elvish Mystic, Finhorn Elves, Llanowar Elves, Sol Ring, Wild Growth. Pretty good 1 mana sources. We have Rampant Growth, just to ramp up a little bit there, and we have Heraldic Banner. Taps for 1 mana of the chosen color, but creatures we control of the chosen color get +1 power, so that's beneficial to us outside of just being a mana rock. And then we have protection cards in here. Although most of our creatures, we don't want them to have abilities. Our Ruxa, our commander, we want to protect our commander. So we have Aspect of Mongoose. Enchanted creature can't be the target of spells or abilities, and whenever it's put into a graveyard from play, we get to return it back to our hand. This card is crazy underrated because it just comes back to you over and over again. We have Guardian Augmenter, Flash, and commander creatures we control get +2/+2, and commanders we control have hexproof, so this card's fantastic. It's another new one. It might add to the overall value of the deck, so just be aware of that. We don't have the prices for it right now, but I wouldn't imagine it's going to really put it much above 35. We have Slippery Bog Bonder, very similar in its purpose. Flash, hexproof. When it enters the battlefield, we may put a hexproof counter on target creature, then move any number of counters from among creatures we control onto that creature. So we do have +1/+1 counter synergies, making this pretty decent. And we have some removal in here on a budget. We have Nature's Claim, destroy an artifact or an enchantment, and that controller gains 4 life. Return to nature, we can destroy either artifact, enchantment, or we get to exile a card from a graveyard. We have Staple Beast Within, we have Krosan Grip, and Reclamation Sage, just to get rid of artifacts, enchantments, and Beast Within can destroy a permanent. We have token cards in here because, as I said before, tokens, for the most part, don't have abilities. So if you get tokens out there, you give them an Anthem with Ruxa, you can then deal a ton of damage. Orochi Hatchery is XX, enters with X charge counters on it, and you can pay 5 mana and tap it to create 1/1 green snake creature tokens equal to the number of counters on it. So they're just 1/1s, but they become 2/2s, and they have no abilities, so they can assign their combat damage as if they were not blocked. And then we have Sequence Engine. This card's fantastic, another new card for Commander 2021. We pay X and tap it to exile target creature card with mana value X from a graveyard, and then we create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token and put X +1/+1 counters on it, activate only as a sorcery, but it's good graveyard hate and it gives us a token. We have Snake Pit, very cool card. Whenever an opponent plays a blue or black spell, we may put a 1/1 green snake creature token into play, depending on the deck you're going up against, of course. This can be pretty powerful. And then we have Wolfbriar Elemental, multi-kicker of 1 green, so in addition to paying that 4 mana, if you put a ton into that multi-kicker, you will get a 2/2 green wolf creature token for each time it was kicked. And then we have Wolf Caller's Howl. At the beginning of our upkeep, we create X 2/2 wolf creature tokens, where X is the number of your opponents with 4 more cards in hand. We have Paradox Zone, another new card for Commander 2021. Enters the battlefield with a growth counter on it, and then at the beginning of our end step, we double the number of growth counters on Paradox Zone, then create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token, and then put X +1/+1 counters on it, where X is the number of growth counters on Paradox Zone. And then we have Sandworm Convergence. For 8 mana, we have this awesome enchantment. Creatures with flying can't attack us, or planeswalkers we control at the beginning of our end step create a 5/5 green worm creature token. So that's a token with no other abilities, but it's fantastic. And then we move on to our vanilla creatures. These are just the creatures in here. They have no abilities, they're just a certain amount of mana for power and toughness. So we have Memnite, 0 mana for a 1/1, Norwood Ranger, 1 mana for a 1/2, Willow Elf, 1 mana for a 1/1, Woodland Druid is 1 mana for a 1/2, Elvish Warrior is 2 mana for a 2/3, Colonian Tusker is 2 mana for a 3/3. This card's one of the better vanilla creatures ever made. Then we have Swordwise Centaur, another pretty good one, 3/2 for 2. We have Terrain Elemental, 3/2 for 2, the same thing. Alpine Grizzly, 3 mana for a 4/2. And the secret here, I believe, is to just try to get more power for the mana. You don't want to break even too often because then you're not getting as much power, so you can sacrifice the toughness here. So in Alpine Grizzly's case, you have a 4/2, and to me that's better than having a 3/3 for a 3 mana. And then we have Elvish Ranger, so we have a 4/1 for 3 mana. We have Leatherback Baloth, 4/5 for 3 mana, so this one's another brilliant vanilla creature. We have a Razka Frillback, 4/2 for 3 mana. And then we have Ferocious Zang, 4/4 for 4 mana. And then we have Muraganda Petroglyphs. This isn't a vanilla creature, but it's a card that really just synergizes with vanilla creatures. Creatures with no abilities get +2/+2. So that's an insane enchantment right there. And then we have Nullhide Ferox. Not a vanilla creature, but you can pay 2 mana, and it loses all its abilities until end of turn. Any player can activate that. You will actually have a reason to activate it yourself, because then you'll have a 6/6 vanilla creature that can attack and assign its combat damage as if it were not blocked. And we do have a condition here where we can't cast non-creature spells, but you can get around that by paying 2 mana, so pretty crazy card here. And then we have Rumbling Baloth, another 4/4 for 4 mana. We have Garruk's Gorehorn, 7/3 for 5 mana, so that's pretty crazy. We have Gigantosaurus, this is the big boy of the deck here. If you're gonna play vanilla creatures, you gotta play probably the best one here. For 5 mana, you get a whopping 10/10. So imagine dealing a ton of damage as if it were not blocked. So that's gonna be a ton, that's a quarter of your starting life. Then we have Glass Golem, a 6/2 for 5. We have Panther Warriors, a 6/3 for 5. We have Prizefighter Construct, another 6/2 for 5. And then we have Cowl Prowler, a 6/6 for 6. We have Nyxborn Colossus, a 6/7 for 6. We have Primordial Worm, a 7/6 for 6. And then we have Vorst Claw, which is a 7/7 for 6, so that's one of the better 6s, obviously. And then we have Quilled Slagworm, which is a whopping 8/8 for 7 mana. And then we have Whiptail Worm, which is an 8/5 for 7 mana. And then we wrap up the vanilla creatures with a 9/9 for 8 mana. So mana, again in Commander, it's pretty easy to get to creatures like these. It's a vanilla creature. We get a +1/+1 Anthem for all of our vanilla creatures, and they also get to deal damage as if they were not blocked. Crazy. We do have a win con in here. It's not a guaranteed win, but it's Overwhelming Stampede. Till end of turn, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. So if we have ourselves an Ancient Brontodon out there, that's pretty much game over, provided we have a ton of other creatures as well. So anyway, that's going to do it for the deck tech. Let me know what you think about this brand new Commander option, Ruxa Patient Professor. As always, the link to my decks will be in the description below. Have a wonderful day. Void here signing off. See you all next time.